New month, new TBR, and September was a little bit wild for me, and so I didn't want to put too much on my plate for October reading, but I thought I'd take you through my reading list for the month of October. So hello fellow bookworms, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. As you may have noticed with these videos, I do have a bit of a checklist when it comes to building my TBR. For this month, I'm going a little bit off book just because I don't want to overwhelm myself. This is sort of my month of trying to prioritize me and prioritize self-care, and I think sometimes reading can almost be seen as a challenge instead of a hobby that you love, which is something I really want to try and get back to in October. So I've not given myself too much to read, but I am going to take you through those now. So in terms of hangovers, there are a couple of books that I didn't finish in August and September, so they're now having to kind of take priority in October. The first is To Kill a Mockingbird. If you remember, we are doing the year-long classic reading list, and we started with To Kill a Mockingbird in August, and I've just not been able to finish it. But this is the thing I'm currently reading, so I'm working on this first so I can finish this, and me and my friend who I'm doing this reading challenge with can actually have a conversation about this. Dracula book 2 in our list is done and dusted, and the review is up. So if you haven't seen my monthly wrap up for September yet, I'll put a link up there and you can go watch it now. But yeah, this is priority, so this is the first thing I'll finish. Next is Gideon the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir, and this one I am about 123 pages in, and I really enjoyed this. I know this is a book that's almost like infamous for being confusing and no one really knowing what's happening with it. I've not found it confusing as much as like a little bit mysterious. Like you're not entirely sure how this world has come into play, but I do understand what is happening in the story. Now, whether that's going to change in the next 200 pages, I have no idea, but I'm really excited to find out. So this I had to leave behind when I went on my trip to South Africa, so I didn't want to take this in case I damaged it. I'm really precious about this set of books, so I left it, but I'm really excited to return to it. Also, I have a arc of the Gilda stories. Now this one I started on my flight home, and I found a tiny bit difficult to get into. I think just because it is a little bit heavier. So far the premise is a vampire, and it is set in the south of America, so I really like the feel of it, that kind of gothic feel. I think I'm not quite seeing where the story's going yet, and I am excited to return to it and take it at maybe a bit of a slower pace and really explore the story. So that's another thing I need to finish. Classic for October is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. It just felt appropriate that we should do Frankenstein in Halloween month. I don't have a physical copy. I'm likely going to read it on Kindle or maybe purchase a copy. I'll see how I feel. As for my round robin for the month of October, this was actually the book I was meant to read in September, but we've all been a little bit delayed, and so we're now reading this a month late. So for October, I have If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio, and I've wanted to read this for a really long time. I also think October is perfect for this because it is dark academia, and as we kind of enter autumn, dark academia probably becomes my favorite genre just because I like the feeling of those books when it's cold and dark. This one I also tried on audiobook, and it just absolutely does not work as an audiobook, or didn't for me anyway. So I'm excited to have a physical copy to read. I am doing or trying to do a year-long Cosmere reread, doing all of Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere books in order, but I've not been doing too well. I skipped over the Vin cycle, so the first 3 Mistborn books, because they were like really fresh to me and I just didn't want to read them again. Although having now finished the Wax and Wayne cycle, I do actually want to go back and read those. But I finished those 3 books and I've not really progressed anymore. So I feel like probably at this point I'm gonna move that onto next year and make that like my priority challenge for next year. If by any chance I have some spare time this month, I probably will make a start on Elantris, which is the next one I need to read, and one I remember really fondly, but I just don't want to pressure myself, so I thought I'd probably just leave that off. But I am doing buddy reads. I'm doing 2 this month. The first being The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This book has intimidated me for far too long, and I'm glad to finally be reading this. I am reading this with a friend who I absolutely adore buddy reading with, because her insights are so valuable and we always have a fun time reading together. So I'm really excited for this. The second buddy read, similarly as someone I really love reading with, and I am reading Mina and the Slayers by Amy McCaw. We read Mina and the Undead last year and really enjoyed it. It's just such a nostalgic read, and it was really fun, like a really fun vampire read. So I'm excited to read book 2 and kind of see what sticky situations Mina and the gang find themselves in. The final thing I'm reading is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I just keep hearing rave reviews of this. Everyone loves this book, and I've also really heard good things about Rebecca Ross. I think from the things I've heard, she's gonna be a new favorite author. That is my reading list for October. Pretty light, but like I said, I want to kind of get back to reading being something I really enjoy, instead of something that needs to feel like pressure is on to read as quickly as possible. I have never been about the consumption life. Like, I don't believe in flying through books and not really like enjoying or understanding or absorbing what is in the book just for the sake of numbers. And I don't think a lot of people are, but I just think I want to get back to taking it at a more leisurely pace so I can really enjoy it, and also trying to find time for myself in between reading. By decreasing the number of books I have on my monthly reading list, it also means I just have a little bit more time. Like, not every free minute is me reading to make up the numbers or to finish a book. And I am very much like a perfectionist and a finisher. If I have a set amount of books on my TBR, I will read to make sure that I finish them all. So I think if I take it in a smaller dose, and then I can always add in more books if I have time, that's probably a method that is going to work for me, but we'll see how it goes. Let me know what you're reading in the month of October, or let me know if you've read any of the books on my list and what you thought of them. I would very much like to hear from you. As always, please like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching and for sticking with me. I appreciate you, and I wish you a month of happy reading. Till next time.